So in this video, I'm going to go over your week 2 quiz. So to prep for your week 2 quiz, first, listen to the video in the quiz. Second, take notes on the video in the quiz. 3, study these quiz notes. 4, take the quiz. You can take the quiz as many times as you want to get a good grade. So take the quiz before the quiz closes on the Monday of the next week. Do not wait until the last minute to take your quiz. So in this quiz, quiz 2, we're going to talk about formal writing. When you write formal English, this means we don't write slang. When we write formal English, we are writing to our teacher and our boss. Types of formal writing include research papers in college, some newspapers, official documents or records, and business reports at work. Avoid using contractions in formal English. Contractions make our, here's a subject-verb agreement mistake. Contractions make our writing sound too informal. Examples of contractions include can't or won't. It is better to stick to cannot or will not because that sounds more formal. So basically, instead of writing can't, you write cannot. Instead of saying, I can't go to the party, you say, I cannot go to the party, which sounds more formal. I can't go to the party. It sounds conversational, not good for writing. And instead, you would say, I cannot go to the party. Sounds more formal. There are different types of formal writing, such as research papers in college, some newspapers, or magazine articles, official documents and records, and important business reports at work. When writing, we should avoid contractions and write out our contractions for a more formal tone. Also, in formal writing, we use third-person case, he, she, and they, for a more objective tone. We want to avoid writing our personal opinions, and we want to avoid writing I, my, us, mine, we, and we avoid writing second-person case, you and your. We want to focus on the idea of what we are writing and not about ourselves. So in order to focus on the idea rather than ourselves, we use third-person case in formal writing. In formal writing, you should always write formal essays, research essays in third-person case. If you use an outside source, you have to cite the source. We cannot just simply make up a statistic and stick it in our paper. That's the problem with Wikipedia. It lacks credibility because it lacks citations. So never use Wikipedia as a source for your paper. So when you use an outside source, you cite the author, the date, and the page number so that the reader knows where you got your information and to avoid plagiarism. When we write a science paper, we use passive voice in formal writing to add objectivity to our writing. We form passive voice by having a be verb plus a past participle. The tree was run into by a car. Writing in passive voice makes the writer more credible and believable. In formal writing, the passive voice creates a feeling of objectivity. It helps make the reader more believable. When we cite a source, we want to include the author, date, and page number. So an example of an in-text citation would be like, according to Dr. Smith, the pandemic is over. So here you have the author's name, Smith, then the date and the page number. When we use a statistic or any kind of number, always include the source, always cite the source. So you would have the author, page, author, date, and page number. And so examples of effective APA citations are data from the U.S. Center for Disease Control, CDC, show that on an average day, 98 Americans are killed with guns. Another effective APA, the U.S. gun death is 25 times more than the average of other high-income countries. So here you have a lot of numbers. So whenever you use numbers, you have to put in your date, your author, date, and page number. So these are examples of effective APA in-text citation. Here are some examples of ineffective APA in-text citations. This one is ineffective because she says, I can't believe that guns have killed more people in the US than all of the wars altogether. This is ineffective because you're writing your personal opinion, and nobody cares about your personal opinion. And also you're sticking emotion into it when your paper has to have no emotions in it. So you cannot say, I can't believe that, okay, because that makes it too conversational. Instead, when you write a research paper, stick to the facts. Take out the I can't believe and just stick in guns have killed more people in the US than all of the wars together. So do not express your direct personal opinion in a reference citation. Omit your personal opinion. Avoid using I, my, we, our, you, and your in your paper. Delete all instances of I believe and I think, because that's just way too conversational and informal a tone for a research paper. So an ineffective APA citation is I believe gun control is not necessary. Therefore, an effective APA citation is gun control is not necessary. So just stick to the facts. Tips for writing effective APA citations. Don't use emotional language. Omit amazing and depressing. Add the source of the information, such as according to the CDC. Write in the third person. Omit I read, I believe, I think. We use APA to give credit to the researcher and to avoid plagiarism. If we simply state statistics without citing the source, we are committing plagiarism and stealing information from the researcher. So always make sure you cite your source or any kind of uncommon knowledge. So if you cite a statistic like 67% of paper is recycled, then we should give the source of that information. Any kind of numerical source requires APA. When we use historical, scientific, medical, statistical facts, all require APA. Even if we summarize the source, we still need to cite the source. So this ends your essay or your video on formal writing for Quiz 2. If you have any questions, feel free to email me.